Before we begin, welcome to Still Missing. We dig into the world's most haunting unsolved cases. New episodes every week. Subscribe so you don't miss a single case. On January 26, 1966, Australia Day, 3 children left their home in the Adelaide suburb of Somerton Park to take a short bus ride to Glenelg Beach. Jane Beaumont was 9 years old. Arnna was 7. Grant was 4. Their mother, Nancy Beaumont, expected them home by noon for lunch. They never came home. The disappearance of the 3 Beaumont children became Australia's most famous missing persons case, and fundamentally changed the way Australians thought about the safety of their children. It was the case that ended the innocence of a nation, the moment when parents across the country stopped letting their children go out alone. Before that summer day in 1966, it was perfectly normal for young children to travel by bus, play at the beach, and explore their neighborhoods unsupervised. After the Beaumont children vanished, nothing was ever the same. The Beaumont family lived a quiet, ordinary life in suburban Adelaide. Jim Beaumont was a traveling salesman who was away from home on the day of the disappearance. Nancy was a homemaker who cared for the 3 children. The family was well known in their neighborhood, and the children were considered well behaved, responsible, and familiar with the bus route to Glenelg Beach, having made the trip many times before. Nancy gave Jane £1 to buy lunch and bus fare for the 3 of them. She expected them to catch the bus home by noon. When they hadn't returned by 3 in the afternoon, Nancy began to worry. She called Jim, who was working in another city. By evening, the police were called. A massive search began immediately. Witnesses at Glenelg Beach had seen the 3 Beaumont children that morning, and they had been seen in the company of a man. Multiple witnesses described a tall, thin, blond-haired man in his mid-30s who appeared to be playing with the children on the beach. The children seemed comfortable and relaxed with him, laughing and running around as if they knew him well. One witness saw the man helping the children change into their swimsuits. Another saw him buying the children meat pies and pasties at a local shop, food that Nancy Beaumont had not given them money to buy. This detail was significant. It meant the children had accepted food from a stranger, something Jane in particular was considered too cautious to do unless she felt safe with the person. This led investigators to believe the children had met the man before, possibly on previous trips to the beach, and that he had been grooming them over a period of days or weeks. No one questioned the scene at the time. It was a different era. Adults interacting with children who weren't their own attracted no suspicion in 1966. Australia. The case attracted enormous national attention and triggered a wave of fear across Australia. Parents stopped sending children to the beach alone. Schools changed their safety policies. The Beaumont case became a defining cultural moment, the day Australia lost its innocence, as newspapers would later describe it. Over the decades, numerous suspects were investigated. The most prominent was a man named Bevan Spencer von Einem, a convicted child killer who was imprisoned in 1984 for the murder of a 15-year-old boy. Von Einem was known to use sedatives to subdue his victims and was suspected in the disappearances of several other young people in Adelaide during the 1960s and 1970s. However, despite strong circumstantial suspicion, police were never able to gather enough evidence to charge him in connection with the Beaumont children. Witnesses who had seen the man on the beach in 1966 were shown photographs of von Einem, but the identifications were inconclusive. Time, age, and the unreliability of human memory made any positive identification difficult to defend in court. Another suspect who attracted significant attention was a man named Harry Phipps, a wealthy local businessman who lived near Glenelg Beach. Phipps was identified by his own son, who came forward decades later claiming his father had behaved suspiciously around the time of the disappearance. The son recalled seeing his father digging in the backyard of a factory the family owned in the days following the children's disappearance. In 2018, a major excavation was conducted at the site of Phipps' former factory. Based on this information and ground-penetrating radar that suggested possible disturbances in the soil, the excavation received national media coverage. It found nothing. Phipps had died in 2004, and like von Einem, was never charged. In recent years, South Australian police have used advances in DNA technology to re-examine physical evidence from the case. In 2023, they announced that new forensic techniques were being applied to items recovered from the beach area decades ago. However, no breakthrough has been publicly confirmed.
The Beaumont children case has had a profound and lasting impact on Australian society that extends far beyond the investigation itself. It changed parenting norms across the entire country. Before 1966, the idea that children could be smashed from a public beach in broad daylight was almost unthinkable in Australia. After the Beaumonts disappeared, a generation of Australian parents became hypervigilant, and the era of unsupervised childhood play began to fade. The case also led to significant reforms in Australian law enforcement, improved missing persons protocols, better interagency communication, and dedicated child protection units that did not exist before. Jim and Nancy Beaumont never gave up hope. For decades, they kept the same phone number, hoping one of their children might call. They never moved from their Adelaide home, in case Jane, Arnna, or Grant ever tried to find their way back. They endured decades of false leads, cruel hoaxes, and heartbreaking near misses. Over the years, multiple people came forward claiming to be the missing children or to know what had happened to them. None of these leads ever produced results. A psychic told the family the children were buried under a specific building. The site was excavated at enormous cost and nothing was found. Another informant claimed the children had been taken to an underground room. Another dead end. Each false hope took its toll on the family. But Jim and Nancy never stopped believing. Jim Beaumont passed away in 2019, still not knowing what happened to his children. Nancy continues to live in Adelaide. She has rarely spoken publicly about the case, but those close to her say she has never stopped waiting. More than 58 years have passed since Jane, Arnna, and Grant Beaumont walked to the bus stop on that hot January morning. They would be in their 60s now. Somewhere, someone knows what happened to them. The man on the beach, whoever he was, held the answer. But he was never found, and the children never came home. If you have any information about the Beaumont children case, South Australia Police maintain an active investigation. Crime Stoppers Australia 1800-333-000. Next week, 5 young men with intellectual disabilities go missing after a basketball game. Their car is found on a mountain road they had no reason to take. One man dies in a cabin surrounded by food he never ate. The Yuba County 5, don't miss it. A family that kept the same phone number for over 50 years. A father who died still waiting. 3 children whose disappearance ended an entire country's innocence. What do you think happened to Jane, Arnna, and Grant? Comments are open. If this case stays with you, hit subscribe. There are 40 more cases like this still to come. This is Still Missing. Some cases never close.